I'll tell you what, while we are waiting for Brady, if you want to, and you don't have to do this, but if you'd like to, you can go out to what it says up here, up to https://github.com/straydroidcat. That's not me, but I will explain the whole thing in just a second. Now, if you do go out to there, what you're going to find is it's going to look like this. Okay? Stray Droid Cat is my old lab assistant from Blackhawk, John Wanda. And John was good enough at, since I was not there last year, the person who took my place, who was teaching Android, had literally no experience with Android at all. So John tried to write a few applications that he thought would make it easier for Dave, who was the person who took over for me there, to go through. So if you look here, there are 5 different things. The one that you may be interested in is this first one that's called Lifecycle Demo. All right. You remember yesterday or the day before or whenever it was when we were going over some parts in the book and I showed you that picture that kind of had the life cycle of an app? That's what he based that one off of. All right. And he put a lot of logcat messages and stuff in there. So you can go there and you can download that stuff if you want to and take a look at it. All right. And if you say, I have no interest, that's not a problem. All right. But I just thought I would show it to you. All right. So you'd see that indeed it was available to you if you're interested. And again, if you're not hurting my feelings, you're not hurting his feelings any. Okay. The next thing to show you is if you look up on the screen here, you may get this error, you may not. But I have a tendency that when I run my apps, about every other time, I get this error right here. It says, session app, error installing APK error. All right, it just comes up, like I said, usually about every other time. And I went online, and they said, do this, and do this, and do this, and it still gave me that error. Okay, so if you are getting that error, what happens is you'll see it. It'll be like over here on your screen, way over on the left-hand bottom corner. All right, and that's where you'll see it. Since that has happened, I went back in and I looked here under Android Studio, and I thought, well, maybe there's a fix, so to speak, right under Android Studio. All right, so Brady, I told everybody to get in, start up a new Android project in Android Studio, and just call it BMI. I've already got one called BMI, so I'm going to call mine BMI 2, but no biggie. Again, we are not turning these in. Specify path not found. Oh, because I didn't have the desktop there. Okay. All right, if by chance you happen to get that particular error, so if you do, all right, what I would suggest you do if you get that error is to come in and when you build, and you may or may not have been building, I don't have my project's not up here yet. So, but one of the things that's underneath build is build APK file. And if you choose that, every time I've done that, then it works just fine when I run it. All right, if you go, I don't know what you're talking about because I've never gotten that error, then don't worry about it. All right. That's just weird. way too much stuff open here. No, what I'm telling you is I've done that. Ever since I've done that and I do that build first, it has not failed once. And that probably has been about 50 of them. Like I said, if you say, well, I did it and it still doesn't work, then I don't know what to tell you. All right? But doing that worked for me. Getting way too much stuff open here. All right. See why that didn't work. All right. Start project. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. All right, so BMI, again, mine will be BMI 2. It's not a big thing. All right. I will tell you too. Please look up on the screen here. All right. I had some issues. There are two different ways that you can round numbers. Actually, there are millions of ways you can round numbers. But there's two basic ways that you do it in these kind of apps. One is to use the Android way, and the other one is to use the Java way. Everybody hear that? The thing is, if you use the Android way of doing it, it expects that you're going to be using API 25 or above. We're not. We're using API 14. So that one won't work. All right, so either I would have to increase the API here, or I'd have to use the other one. I chose to use the other one. You'll see that when we get to that point in the project. All right? Okay, next, as always, we want a blank or empty activity. Next. All right, now I changed mine. If you called yours, if you already did this and you left it at main activity, it's fine. It's not a problem. But since it's a BMI program, I'm going to put BMI right there, which is going to change it from main activity and activity main to BMI activity and activity underscore BMI. Now, you should all be to the point, if you look up on the screen here, that you realize that that activity name is what that Java file is going to be called. It's going to be called a big B, big I, I'm sorry, big B, big M, big I, big A. So BMI activity with the first four letters capitalized, .java. And the XML file is going to be all lowercase, activity underscore BMI.xml. That should make sense to everybody by now. All right. So click finish, and it'll start the build process and do all the magic that it does. All right. All right, so basically in just a second, I'll be up there. There we go. All right, and that's where I want to be, but I actually want to be over here. What I was telling you, right, you may have come too late to hear this, I don't know. But I had been consistently getting this error right here, the stuff that's in blue. Session app error installing APK error. And it was coming up about right here when I'd run my program. And it was like every other time I ran it. And I'm like, there's got to be some fixes for it. So, of course, I Googled the fixes. Most of the explanations, when I tried doing stuff, didn't change it. I could make the changes, they said, but I'd still have the problem. So what I did was, from now on, I told you about doing the build, clean, build, rebuild. I still do that twice before every build, but then I go to build, and I go to build APK. And since I've done that, it has not failed once in about 50 builds. All right? So, like I said, if that is something that you can use, but if you say I've never had that problem, then that's good. I'm very glad you haven't had that problem. All right. So, I want to come back into my XML file, if it'll let me. All right, there we go. And before we do that, I want to show you, first of all, and you may think this is really ugly. I wish I would have reversed the colors I'm about to show you, But this is what we're building. All right. Now you might look at that and go, oh my God, looks like somebody threw up. Well, if you don't like it, you can put in your own colors, but I'm going to ask that you at least follow the steps that I give you. All right. So, I would probably suggest it may end up looking better with a green background and magenta writing, or you know what I'm saying. Just reverse everything that's here. If you don't want to do that, you can follow, because I'm going to rebuild this one right here. All right. And we're literally going to take it from the top. So why did I choose those colors? Well, what I did was I went out and Googled complementary colors, and I found there was something under Wikipedia. All right. And I started going down it, complementary colors. And I said, well, there's got to be, there's pictures. So I used that one. All right. And that was green and magenta. So that's going to be the first thing that we're going to do. So this is what I'd like all of us to do to begin with. Again, because I'm just trying to get people acclimated to this. So if you look up on the screen, what I'd like you all to do is open up your, click on your app arrow, click on your res arrow, click on your values arrow, right there. You see these 3 files that are here. We want colors.xml. So open your colors.xml file, and we're going to add 2 new colors. The order in which you put these does not matter. You literally could put these above the ones that the system creates for you. I don't really see any reason to do that, but you could do it. You'll see as soon as I do that, it shows the color off on the side there. All right, I'm going to do the same thing again. Now, what you get when you do this is you get the standard, what's built into this machine for a standard blue, standard green, and a standard red. Does that make sense? It may end up looking a little bit different, for example, if you build this on a Mac, all right, or an Apple machine. All right? Now, you don't have to do this, but if everybody would just stop for a second and look up on the screen here, I just want to make sure that you see this. If I decided, let's say I wanted to break these up, all right, I could come in here and say user defined colors. Okay, all I'm trying to show you is, you notice, do those comments look familiar to you? Because they're HTML comment tags, right? Because XML was, when it began, was going to be the replacement for HTML. And the only reason I'm telling you that is it's totally fine to go in and sprinkle comments in here if you want to. By no means do you have to. You could even put blank spaces in here. It's not going to hurt anything. These are all distinct entities. So these are 3 distinct entities, and we just added 2 more distinct entities. All right? Does all that make sense? All right. Now, not that you have to do this, but I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to do a save, and I'm going to click, or I'm sorry, a file and a save all. Why? So now I can close that colors.xml file. I shouldn't have anything else that I need to do with it for the rest of this program. Now, and I'm of the idea, out of sight, out of mind type of thing, where if it's out of sight, I'm not going to probably, if I'm not screwing with it, I probably won't screw it up. All right? So that's the first thing we've changed. We haven't done anything else to our program yet, but we added 2 entries to our colors.xml file. Let's go to the next one, and let's go to our strings.xml file. All right? The only thing that's in here right now is the app name. Mine is BMI2. Yours is probably just BMI. Again, that's fine. And again, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to add in here user-defined strings. Okay? And I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. All right? All right. Now the 6 strings that we're about to create aren't going to be all that different. So I'm going to, after I created the first one, I'm just going to highlight it and put it in there that many times. Now I'm going to change each one of these. But again, if you are not a fast typist, do what you can to speed up the process. All right? The next one I'm going to call height. And I'm just literally calling what I'm putting in there for these. Okay? So, height, weight, I just call this stats. You'll see why when we get to that point, so don't let that bother you one way or the other. Now, I'll give you a second to go and catch up and put all that stuff in. Now, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to try doing something. I want to move this way over to the left, and I want to bring this up in Paint. All right, but I'm going to collapse this down. I'll try to. All right, I just want you to be able to see what goes with what. All right, so notice I call this title, BMI calculator. That's what you see right here. All right, height, height colon, that's what you see right here. All right, weight, weight colon, that's what you see here. Stats, stats colon, that's what you see here. Calculate, that's the name of this button, or that's what the text is on this button. And clear, that's the text on this button. Does that make sense? I mean, you have to realize the correlation between this stuff. It makes it much easier when you're doing this. All right? And when we get to that point, it'll be after the break and everything. Hopefully it'll be around beginning to mid-April, somewhere in there, when you're going to be working on your own. You're going to give me very detailed, I don't care if it's hand-drawn or how you do it, but I want to see what you plan on doing. In other words, I don't want you to just sit there and come in one day, I'll make that green, I'll throw that out there, I'll throw that out there. No, I want you to have, as I say, the end in mind before you start. It may change as you're working on it. That's okay. That's to be expected. All right, this was not the first picture that I had when I started. All right. All right. Any questions on that? Everybody's got that? Again, in my humble opinion, I think it's a good time to do another file, save all, and then close this. So we've made changes. All right, under our values folder, we have made changes to our styles, to our colors, and to our strings. All right. Now, don't open this, but please look up on the screen here, everybody. See where it says styles? All right. That is kind of, again, I'm generalizing here, but that's kind of a cross between CSS and the Bootstrap styles that we used. So when we get to that point, there'll be a chapter that'll be on styles. But we haven't talked about it yet, so I'm not going through any styles. But when we get to that point, that's where you're going to stick common styles. Again, the reason I'm telling you that stuff is as we're adding on, this is the way I expect you to write your own app that you are going to be creating. All right? I want it to look as professional as possible. All right? Okay, so I don't need that file open. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, and this is going to sound weird, do you have to do this? I'm asking you to do this. How's that? So I'm going to go up and I'm going to bring up another browser window. And under that browser window, I'd like you to go right here. Now, it might be hard for you to read, so I'll pump it up a little bit, okay? Not that much. I'd like you to go right there, please. Okay? That's about as big as I could make that without it going off the screen. You all know by now you don't have to type in the https:// so you could just put in developer.android.com/guide/topic/ui/layout/relative.html. Bottom line is, I want you here. All right, if that's what yours looks like right now, good. That's where I want you to be. Questions, issues, problems with anything so far? All right. Then if you would, on this page, scroll down until you find this, where it says example. All right? Scroll down to where it says example. It's about a little more than halfway down. And I want you to grab all of this code up until, but not including, that edit text. I want you to grab all of that code. After you've grabbed all of that code, I want you to copy it to the clipboard. However you do a copy. Okay? Because we're about to come in and change our layout from that constrained layout. I don't know why they made that the default in here, but somebody made that decision to do that. We're going to change ours so that it's going to be a relative layout. And since this is something that's from developer.android.com, I can be pretty assured that it works, and it's pretty standard. That's why I'm choosing this one. So again, I'm copying it to the clipboard. Now I want you to go back to your project, and I want you to go to your XML file. All right, this one right here, that right now, this is my whole file. Okay? I want you to grab everything, because we don't need that text view. I want you to grab everything that's in the file and remove it. Now you'll get an error because now you have an empty file there. All right? So then paste in what we just brought in. Hit enter about 3 times and put in your ending relative layout tag. I'm going to do that again just in case I did it too fast. After you've removed everything, paste in what I just asked you to add right there. Then hit enter about 3 times and put in an ending. If you've got a beginning relative layout tag, this is all one tag. So come in here and put in that, and then a dash, and bam, it'll fill in the ending relative. So that's what yours should look like when you get done. All right? And we have now changed so that rather than us using the constrained layout, which is the default, we're now using a relative layout. Does all that make sense? I want to wait until everybody says they've got that done. Everybody's there? Correct? All right. Now, please don't type. I want you to watch what I'm doing because I want to show you. This is the way some, I don't know if it was Colin, somebody asked me this question when we were working, and they asked, like, well, do some people actually create the stuff here? And the answer is yes. Do some people, would they rather do it the other way with the drag and drop? The answer is yes. So what we could do, I don't want you to do this. What we could do is I could come over here, I could click on our form right there, I could go and find in here background. I could click the ellipsis. Okay, I could click the ellipsis, which will sooner or later come up, and I could choose color, and you'll notice that one of the colors there now is magenta. We could do that, and that's totally fine to do. But I just want to show you that it is also okay if we wanted to do this, and I'm going to ask that you do it just so you get a little practice doing it. I want you to come here, and right where you've got your ending tag, hit enter right there. All right? Right where that ending tag is, put your your cursor right before that and hit enter so that you're right there. All right. And I want you to type in Android, background. Notice there's IntelliSense. Everybody see that? So you can either use the IntelliSense or not use it. And I'm going to put in here, all right, equals, and again, I'm going to say at color dash, and notice what's there. There's magenta. All right. Again, if you'd rather have yours opposite color that I have, instead of having it magenta background with green, then just reverse them. Where I'm using magenta, use green. And if you want to go in later and change it to your own colors, then do that. All right. But I just wanted us to get some experience doing a few different things and doing them in different ways. That's all. All right. Again, I'm going to do a file, save all, and now I'm going to go back into design mode. And lo and behold, you can see the color. All right. Now, that's not like an ooh and ah kind of thing. I just wanted to show you that literally what we just did was the same thing as if we came in here and either typed in, magenta right there, or hit the ellipsis, went to color, and chose magenta. So that's 3 ways that you can do the same thing. There is no advantage to using any one of those 3 ways over any other of those 3 ways. Okay? All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go up here into your widget area up here and go down about a third of the way or so and find the text view. Now, please listen to it. Just watch me do it. Not that it's that big a thing, but just watch me do it. I don't want you to grab that text view and stick it up in the corner here. I want you to bring it down a little bit. So I want you to take that text view, put it about right there. All right? Just put it about right there. These things are a pain in the butt once you put them in there to start moving them with what we're doing so far. All right? So again, there should be a little bit of a gap in there when you do that. Because if there's not, if you put it right here, when we end up running the program, you're not going to be able to see your title. All right? It's going to be covered up. It'll be there. It'll just be covered up by the rest of the interface. But by putting it down here, that'll work. All right? Now, I'm trying to teach you, when I say, well, are you teaching us the way you were taught? I was taught by watching tons of videos and taking online classes. There wasn't ever anybody there who said, you should do this, then you should do this, etc. But as far as I'm concerned, the first thing that you should do when you create a new control is immediately come in here and give it a name. All right, so go up to your ID property that's up at the top of your attributes. Make sure it's, don't do this. Don't click back on relative layout because then you're going to rename your relative layout. All right, so make sure that you still have this text view here, and we're going to call this just text view title. Not the greatest name, but what we're doing right now, this will work. That's what I'm most concerned with. All right, when you hit enter, nothing magical happens, except you can see now that the title is changed to text view title. All right, and I tried to do these so you could kind of work your way down. All right, so the next thing we want to do, and again, this should really show you the difference between these, the property right underneath it that says layout width. Click there if you would, please. Just click on it, and you should get a box like this. Click the down arrow, and right now it's set to wrap content. We want the other one, which is match parent. And again, if you look on the screen, you should immediately be able to tell what you just did. All right? You've made it almost as wide as your whole thing here is. Now, I'm not going to keep sitting there and saving and running it, etc. We're going to do this. We're going to get this title in, then we're going to run it. Then we're going to put in a text view followed by an edit text, and then we're going to run it. See what I'm saying? So our interface, like I said, that rather than us putting in something and running it, we're going to put this in and run it, then this row and then run it, and then this row and run it, and then this row and run it, and then this row and run it. Does that make sense? So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 runs, then we're ready to add code. All right? And again, I'm not in any hurry. If it takes us the whole period to do this, I don't care. because whatever time we got left is your time today. All right? But this is what I wanted to get done, because if any of you are having problems, I figured by doing it and doing it this slow and running, going through it in a very deliberate fashion, that would help you. All right? So I'm going back here, and the next thing that I want to do here is I want the background color of this. I want the background color to be green. Well, if you look, there's background, so I could do that right now. So I can go to background, but wait, before you do, there's text, right? I don't want it to say TextView. You know already what I want it to say. So please look up on the screen here. I want to highlight the text, and I want to remove it, right? Now, if I want to, I can type @string/title, and it'll put BMI calculator in there. I can do that, all right? Or I can click the ellipsis, and I can find title right here, all right? Or, there's probably another way. I'm just going to do what I just showed you. I remove the text, all right? I'm clicking the ellipsis. I'm finding where it says BMI calculator. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to choose OK. And if you go, it might be changed, but I really can't read it. That's what we're going to change next. All right? Questions? Now I'm going to go in and set the background color to green. The order in which you do these things does not matter. Everybody hear me? The order doesn't matter. To me, it makes sense to kind of go down, depending on who you are. Some people like to work from the bottom and work their way up. It really and truly isn't going to matter how you do it. So I'm going to come over to here under background. I'm going to click the ellipsis. I'm going to click color, and I'm going to choose green. Notice that I can come in here if I want to and change things if you look up on the screen. So I could customize if I wanted to. When you get in and you start building styles, this is something, just please listen. You don't have to look or anything, but it's something you may want to consider. You can literally do things when you're creating styles and the like, where kind of like we did in HTML, where we put kind of like shadow effects and stuff. You can do that kind of stuff. All right? So I'm going to keep it at green, so I'm just going to click OK. And now you can see it's green. Now you may not be able to read that from here, but I can look at it now and see that it says BMI calculator. All right? I can read that now. Okay. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to go down. If you look up on the screen here, so what have we changed? We changed the ID. We changed the layout width. We changed the text. And we changed the background, correct? So now I'm going to work my way down, and I'm going to find text alignment. This is alphabetized, so I know I've got to go down pretty far. And lo and behold, there's text alignment. All right, so I'm going to click on that. There's nothing there now, so I'm going to click the down arrow, and I'm going to choose center, which is now centered my title. All right. If I go down two more, notice I've got text color. I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to click the ellipsis, and I'm going to make my text color magenta. All right, and click OK. Going too fast? Anybody, any issues? All right, two more things I want to do, then I'm done with this. If you look up on the screen. First, I want to go down and find text size. All right, if you don't like my sizes, change them to whatever you want. I changed my size here to 24. Now it's a lot easier to see that. All right, and right underneath text size is text style. I made it bold. So I clicked there. It's the easiest, if you look on the screen here, to click this arrow, because that'll open everything up, and choose bold. So what I've done so far, as far as working with the interface, is I added a title. After I added the title, I changed the ID for it. After I did the ID, I did the width. After I did the width, I did the text. After I did the text, I did the background. Then I went down to my text attributes, and I changed the alignment to center. I changed the color to magenta. I change the text size to 14 or 24, I'm sorry, and I change the text style to bold. All that makes sense? All right. So now if I want to, and again, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to do a file, save all, and again, this is how I do this every time. I do build, clean project, build, rebuild, and I do it again. And then I go down to build APKs. And it'll take anywhere from 15 seconds to a minute. It's been about the longest it's taken for that. And there'll be a message that'll come up afterwards when it's done. All right. And again, if you're not having problems with this, then just go right to Run App. All right. If you're not having any problems, I am. Now see what it says here? Build APKs. APK generated successfully. See that? So now I'm going to go over and do a run app. I've just been choosing out of my emulators, just choosing the Nexus 1. All right, it seems to come up and look about the best on the phone, and I click OK. So all I should have in here right now is just my title. I don't have anything else on here. The background should be magenta. All right, the title should have a background of green. And it should have magenta-centered text that says BMI calculator. And if all that happens, then I'm good to go so far. In other words, everything I have done has worked. See, now that's the first time. See that? That's the error right here. Session app, error. I've never got it before. All right? When I went back and rebuilt that. Now that's the first time that happened. All right? And it may still be running. All right, so it may end up going away. It's still running here. But in the past, when I've gotten that error, it hasn't gone away. And it says it is done building. So I'm going to close this, just like I showed you. Build, clean, build, rebuild, build, clean, build, rebuild. Why am I doing it twice? Because in one of these online classes that I took, the gentleman teaching the class said, I always do it twice because half the time it seems to fail the first time. All right, that's why I'm doing it twice. So I'm going to go back in again and do a build APK. Again, you don't have to do all that stuff if you're not having problems with it. I am, so I am. So there's my build. It says it worked. All right. Now I'm going to try it again. So I'm going to do a run app. Choose my Nexus 1, say OK. If for some reason this still doesn't build successfully and it just hangs there, I'm just going to go back to the program. All right? You know, next week, I'll promise you, next week early, it'll be either Tuesday or Wednesday, we're bringing out the tablets. Then you hook up your tablet and you shouldn't have to worry about using the emulator anymore. All right? And it by and large, it appears as though the tablets they work much better than the emulator. I mean, the chances of it not coming up on your tablet, I'm not going to say there's zero, all right, because I'm sure it could happen, but it shouldn't happen, all right? I'm still getting an error. That's fine, all right? I'll have to deal with that in just a bit. But we're going to do one more thing, then we'll take our first break, all right? So I'm coming back here now. You do know, don't you, if you look up on the screen, if you're like, you know, that's pretty darn small. Well, one thing you can do, all these things are movable. So I can do this. This looks like it's about the right size, but I can make this smaller. Then with this in here, I can start hitting this right here. If you look, I can hit the plus sign. All right, that's probably too big, but that's maybe that's a better size for the way we're working. All right. All right. Now we're going to do one more thing, and please, you know, rather than going along with me, just watch me do it because we're going to do the same thing twice. In other words, if you look up on the screen here, this is what we want to do. We want to put in a text view right here and an edit text there, and then underneath that, a text view there and an edit text there. This is the one that's going to say height. This is the one that's going to say weight. Does that make sense? Right? Now, because I've been asked this before, hey, would it be possible then, could I just do one of them and then do a copy and paste? And the answer is, according to Android, yes. All right, yes, you can do that. Now, I've had problems with doing a lot of copy and pasting, so I manually do it. If you do it and it works for you, then go for it. All right? So, I'm just going to show you how to set these two up, and then we'll pick it up again in about 20 or so minutes. All right? So, I'm going to come in here with where I am right now. I'm going to find a text view like I did before. There it is. I'm going to drag it pretty close. You don't want them to touch, but pretty close. So I'm going to put that down there. I'd like it to be pretty much lined up so that these things are pretty lined up. All right. Then underneath that, and don't worry because it's going to look a lot bigger, I want you to grab a number signed and drag that out here. Try to make the bottoms of the two kind of line up with one another. Okay? And don't worry that it looks like it's almost touching the title. We'll fix that. All right? And I don't normally do it this way, but if you look up on the screen, I'm going to do the same thing one more time. So I'm going to put another text view underneath the one I just put in, about there. Again, I'm eyeballing this stuff. We can always, go back if we need to and change things later. And I'm going to find one more number signed, and I'm going to put that one right here. So right now, that's my interface. All right? Why doesn't everybody just do that and get that stuff done? And it's about 125, so we'll pick it up at 140. All right? And when we come back, we're gonna rename this stuff and do all those good, fun things. But we now have 3 rows, and if you look up on the screen, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So what we'll have to do after this is we'll have to add the thing for the stats, that row, and for our buttons. All right? So that's what we'll do when we come back. And by the time we take our next break, not this one, but our next one at 2 something, we will have the interface built. All right? Everybody will have the interface built. Then we can go and concentrate on writing the actual code. All right? So don't worry about naming anything. We'll do all that stuff after the break.